Hi, I'm Mark. This is Mark's Tech Vlogs on YouTube, and today I'm going to bring you guys a review of the LOQED Touch smart lock. Now this is a smart lock from a Dutch company called LOQED, and it's been around for a little while but has only just launched in the UK. And one of the really exciting things about this lock is that it is compatible with multi-point doors. Now LOQED have very kindly sent me this lock to review for you guys, and I've been using it for the last few weeks. Now whenever a company reaches out and says to me, can we send you something, I'm always clear that I won't necessarily say nice things if a product isn't good. That means you know you're going to get an honest review from me, especially as I like to use things for a few weeks before actually making review content. And let's start off by talking about price. Now the LOQED Touch smart lock costs between £269 and £299 depending on if there's an offer running or not. At the moment there is an offer on Amazon that means it is just £269. Now when you purchase it you might also want to pick up an optional power pack which includes 8 rechargeable AA batteries and a plug in order to plug in your smart lock and charge it. Now at the time of recording, LOQED are still in the process of launching in the UK, and that means the plug for charging your smart lock that comes with that power pack and also the bridge that comes with the lock itself actually have a European plug on it. That means for now LOQED are bundling the power pack in with the lock for free, and that includes 2 European to UK plug adapters that are black and therefore they match the bridge and the plug already. This is a really nice extra at the moment. However, I do know LOQED are working on having UK plugs put on these devices by default. And this actually leads on quite nicely to talk about what's in the box for the actual LOQED device itself, not the power pack. So this lock comes with the bridge included, which is really nice to see, especially when companies like Nuki charge you an extra £89 for a bridge. In the box you also get a small screwdriver and Allen key, you get some fixings and fittings, you get the new inside handle, you get the outside touchpad, and you get the new cylinder as well. So let's talk about specification and start off by talking about compatibility. So this lock is compatible with most UK multi-point doors. This is great, especially as so many UK doors have those lift to lock handles. Now as with all smart locks that are compatible with multi-point doors, you will still need to lift the handle in order for the locking to take place. The LOQED Touch works with any doors up to 110mm thick and any backset larger than 30mm. You can check the full door compatibility on the Amazon link below. Secondly, when it comes to specification, we should talk about security, because this is one of the things that LOQED have been really keen to emphasise in putting together their product, and this is so important in my opinion. So the actual cylinder that comes with it is EN1303, EN15684 and SKG 3-star certified. This is great for ensuring that your home insurance remains valid, but also knowing that you've got a really secure device. And then you've got the smart parts of the lock. And these use 256-bit end-to-end encryption, which is the same as online banking and very, very secure. This emphasis on security is such a good thing to see in a smart lock, and I'm really glad that LOQED put an emphasis on this. In terms of compatibility with other services, it works with Amazon and Google voice assistants, it works with IFTTT, it works with Apple Watch via a service called Alisto, which requires a little bit of setup, and it works with some other services as well. Now it is not currently Matter or HomeKit compatible, but I've asked LOQED about this and they are working on Matter compatibility and hope to have something out in the new year. Now of course you should never buy a product based on promises as something that will come, and so if Matter or HomeKit compatibility is something that is essential to you, then maybe now isn't the time to pick one up. If you use one of the sneaky ways such as Homebridge or Home Assistant to get HomeKit compatibility, then there is a Home Assistant plugin already working for this LOQED lock. There is, however, not an official Homebridge one. That being said, however, if you've been watching this channel for a while, you'll know that my day job is actually as a web developer. And so in trying out this lock and playing around with the features it had to offer, I decided I would see if I could create a Homebridge plugin. Essentially, that meant I spent a few days playing around with the LOQED API and trying to get the communication working between the two, and I have managed to create a LOQED Homebridge plugin that actually works. This is now up there and available for Homebridge users. If you do use it and you find it useful, let me know. If you also use it and find any issues, then do let me know and I'll try and fix those as well. It is pretty much a hobby project, but it has been working really well for me. Of course, it still stands, but it's not HomeKit compatibility out the box. The lock also supports the ability to send digital keys. This allows people to open your door with a web link and not having to download the LOQED app, although of course they can still do that. You can set these to have limited access, and you can also assign passcodes as well. You can update these and delete these and add new ones in the app. It is worth saying, however, if you want to limit the times of day someone can access your house, you'll need to set one up with limited access to start with and then go and update the times. This isn't something you update during the setup process of the key itself. In terms of battery life, this will depend on usage, but LOQED say the 8 AA batteries inside will last up to a year. And of course, if you have the rechargeable batteries or put your own rechargeable batteries in it and you have that power plug, you can just plug that into the lock itself in order to recharge it. When you do that, you need to start the charging process in the app. Now, in using this lock for a few weeks, I'd say that the year is probably a little bit optimistic. That is, however, because I've had the twist assist function enabled and I've also been using it a lot in order to try and get that HomeKit compatibility thing working that I was talking about programming earlier. Based on that usage so far, I think I'm probably going to get 10 months out of it quite easily. This is still pretty good when most other smart locks only talk about 6 months usage. If you do, however, get locked out when the batteries are flat, maybe you've been away for a bit, maybe you've missed that low battery notification, you can get in using a 9-volt battery which you can attach to the pins on the outside touch panel. This will give it enough juice for you to get back into your house. And then finally, that included bridge gives you out of home access and also an API for advanced users. That bridge needs to be within 3 meters of the lock in order for the lock to connect with it via Bluetooth. You can view the status and connectivity statuses of the bridge and the lock via the LOQED app. So let's talk about the design of this. So the LOQED smart lock mostly replaces the inside handle of your door and you'll retain your existing outside handle. That new inside handle comes in a choice of silver or black and feels really sturdy and really well made. It has a turn knob for manual unlocking and it just looks really nice in my opinion, and it doesn't protrude too much either. The outside module is a small touchscreen with an LED display on it. This lights up, which means you can see it in bright weather but also when it's dark. It also has those 2 pins at the top for access using a 9-volt battery if your battery had run out on the lock. The outside module looks nice and modern and it doesn't draw too much attention to your door. And it basically just sits where your keyhole once was. All in all, I think this design is nice and modern. And the next thing we should talk about really is getting up and running and how easy is it to set up. So LOQED say installation takes between 20 and 30 minutes. And if you watch my installation video, you'll know that they are pretty much spot on. The process of installing this lock is nice and easy and simply involves removing your existing handles and your existing cylinder. You then attach that outside module onto your outside handle. You then attach the outside handle again and thread that cable through the middle. You add in the spindle and attach part of the inside handle, you get the motor set up, and then you just put it all back together again and power it up. The LOQED website has a really nice step-by-step process for getting you going, and it's nice and easy to follow. One of the things I really like is that because of the way that inside handle is designed, it involves making absolutely no new holes in your door. This is great for easily fitting it, but also maybe if you're in rented accommodation. And then the pairing and setup process in the LOQED app is pretty easy too. And there is a nice visual process for setting up the calibration. This lock is certainly up there alongside the Ultian Nuki for being really easy to install, and I'd probably go as far as saying it might actually be slightly easier. So once it's set up, how does it work? So from the inside you can lock or unlock it using that twist knob. There is even a twist assist feature which you can enable in the app, and personally I think this is well worth enabling. This twist assist basically allows you to turn it a tiny bit and it will kick in and do the rest. That applies whether you're locking or unlocking. And really, if you're unlocking or locking from the inside, this is the easiest way to lock it. Of course, if you do want to lock it from the inside or outside, you will need to lift that handle first to engage the multi-points. Of course, if you do want to unlock it in a different way, you can unlock it using the LOQED app, using any of the voice assistants it's compatible with, or using other third-party services such as Listo. In trying all of these out, I found that these all work really well, and it's just worth noting that because it is a smart lock, if you use it with a voice assistant, you will need to provide a passcode. This is so someone can't open your letterbox and shout, "Alexa, open the door." When it comes to leaving your house, you can simply close the door, lift the handle up, and that little touch screen will just say touch to lock. You then tap it and it engages the locking mechanism. This is a really nice, simple way to lock the door without having to reach for an app or a key. Of course, if you wanted to reach for an app, you could do that pretty easily as well, just via your phone and any of the ways I've previously talked about. It's worth saying that there isn't a geolocation lock feature with this lock. This means you couldn't tell it to automatically lock when you leave the house. And this is pretty common with smart locks, and even a Nuki doesn't have this. And this is largely because for this to be a functional feature, you'd want it to be when the last person has left the house, not when anyone has. That little touch to lock feature, however, is super easy to use. When you come home, the lock can use geolocation to detect when you're close by. And as long as your phone is with you, it connects to the Bluetooth on the lock, realises you're home, and that little touchscreen will say touch to unlock. It will then unlock for you. There is also an experimental auto unlock feature in the app. However, this is in beta mode and I haven't found it very reliable at the moment. You can also choose to enable keys that have codes. This means you can unlock it using a code on the touchpad. This is great if you don't have your phone with you. And you can set this code in the app. You can also set this for other people if you want to. In order to do this, you just tap the bottom left of the display and then you use that to cycle through the numbers, pressing the bottom right when you want to move on to the next digit. Now, LOQED do point out that using these codes does make your lock slightly less secure. And this makes sense because whilst there are a lot of combinations of 6-digit codes, it could in theory be guessed. That means what I'd recommend doing is if you were going to go without your phone, I'd temporarily turn that feature on, and then when you get back, I'd turn it off again. As I said before, you are able to share keys with other people, whether that's a guest or a cleaner or a house sitter. And you can do this by creating a key in the app for them and then sharing that with them via a text message. From there, they can install the LOQED app if they want to, or they can simply click the link which opens a web page. This web page has simple open and close buttons on it. This is great because it means someone doesn't have to download a new app just to get into your house. And of course, you can limit these by date periods, but also by certain time periods every day. This is great if maybe you've got a cat sitter who only turns up between 10 and 11 every day. And of course, you can delete these as well in the app. There's also some features in the app where you can set it to auto lock at certain times of the day and also auto unlock at certain times of the day. Generally, in using this for a few weeks, I found that the touch to open from the outside using your phone's location and Bluetooth connectivity is the best way of unlocking it. This means the door only unlocks when you want it to, and this works really well. I also think lifting the handle and tapping it to lock on your way out is also a really good way of using this lock. So we should also talk about the LOQED app, which works for Apple and Android. Now, the LOQED app has a pretty simple interface, but it also feels quite premium. On that main screen, you can see what is known as your keychain. This is a list of all your locks, and then there's also a timeline feature. This is where you can see all of the activity. This means you can see when it's been locked and unlocked, but also how that's happened. This is great for monitoring your lock when you're away from home. That keychain screen also shows the current status of your lock and an indicator of battery level. Clicking into that lock gives you easy controls for locking and unlocking your door. The keys part is where you can create keys and manage existing ones. This includes updating permissions and passcodes, setting dates someone has access, and also adding time schedules. It's also here you can delete users and remove people from your lock. This can all be done fully remotely as well as when you're at home and in direct connection with the lock. And then of course you've got the settings for the lock. This is where you can see the battery level, bridge Wi-Fi and Bluetooth status. You can turn on options like touch to connect and twist assist. You can see some time scheduling stuff, and then you can recalibrate the lock and update the software as well. All in all, in using this app, I've found that it's nice and clean to use and generally pretty responsive. The only thing I'd like to see is a percentage for the battery life rather than just a visual indicator, because personally I prefer seeing a percentage. So all in all, what is the verdict on the LOQED Touch smart lock? Now, in using this for a few weeks, I have actually been really impressed with it. And I'd probably go as far to say that it is my favourite of smart locks that I've used so far. And one of the things I feel like with this lock is that LOQED have thought of most things. They thought about the easiest way to lock it, which of course is just tapping something when you leave. They thought about the easiest way to unlock it, which is waiting until you're actually at your front door and you can activate it. They've also thought about security, which is absolutely essential for smart locks. And it's clear from the credentials they've got with the lock that this is something they've really heavily invested in as well. And this isn't just about the physical side, but also about the digital side as well. And then of course they also include the bridge in the box, which is really, really good because you haven't got to spend any more money than the initial lock package itself. For me, the main downside is the current lack of HomeKit or Matter support. As I said at the start, this is something they are currently developing and hope to have out at the start of next year, but of course you shouldn't buy a product on a promise of something that will happen. I have also said, however, that for Homebridge users, I have managed to create a plugin that works, and maybe that's useful for you as well. That is certainly a more advanced user thing though. If you are interested in that, I have linked it on NPM below. All in all, the LOQED is a secure, easy to use and well thought out smart lock for multi-point doors. It's also really easy to install, which is fantastic. If you've got any questions about this lock, I'm going to keep using it, so do stick them below and I will answer those. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a like and consider subscribing to my channel. If you do want to pick one up, I have put a link below where you can go and purchase one from Amazon. I will see you guys again soon.